Hey guys, it's Miss O here. Let's go on ahead and do a little bit of marker. I'm going to do a face with the hair pulled back. So I have vellum paper this time, and that is one of our papers that we use in our class. Start off with an oval and nice and loose. Divide it vertically, horizontally, a second and a third time. Going ahead and tilt the eyes so that they are on an angle with your frown, and then your smile, and your smile. So we're just being creative. Put in your parenthesis shape for the center of the eye and a comma, and now you have that. Now let's put in a lid and a brow. Okay, that's the beginning. Let's do 2 frowns. And then we'll do frown for the top lip, smile for the bottom. And here we are with the little smile in the center, and then we frown down. So that was right on top of it. Okay. Let's go on ahead and let's do a smile here to divide, and then frown over, frown over. So now I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. I'm just going to erase just so that you can see a little bit of that detail. So what we've created here is characterized features. And I put that back, so now you can hopefully see the type of lip that we have, the type of nostril that we have. Let's go on ahead and add some more thickness so that the brow has a little bit of thickness there. I'm going to bring this down so that it is wider and longer than the eye itself. Couple of extra lines gave that some thickness. Okay, so now that thicken it up there is in place. Let's go on ahead and decide the shape of the head. So I've decided right about here. I'm going to bring this in and bring that in. Give her very traditionally exaggerated model-like features. Give her a little dimple in her chin. Start with the frown, and then we're going to connect our smiles at the end of that. Going ahead, put in your neck. Okay, let's do above the eye, diagonal, and then go on up for the rest of the head. Let's do ear. Above the eye, start with your frown and your smile below, somewhere about wherever the nose-ish is, maybe a little above it. So that's my smile there. Go on ahead and connect. So we're going out and then sort of back in. Second frown is there, and second smile down below for the lobe. Now I'm going to make in and out like a bracket shape. So here I am going to do the same. And let's see, we can give her a high, no, let's give her the pulled back slicked hair. So her head is probably going to end up finishing there. So we're going to give her a slicked, pulled back hair. That way, yes, we can finish off our detail for the, what's it called? The markers. Okay. So let me just touch this up really quickly. I am going to bring that a little softer. So let me just touch that. There we are. So it's not quite as round. All right. So now I have the basics. I'm going to start here with a smile in the center. Then I'm going to frown over and frown over. Curve shapes, like a W almost, curving on the other direction for the other side. That's the beginning of her hair swept back. And I'm going to give a loose kind of a wiggle so the edges of the hair can be seen. Okay, I'm going to take this eraser now that I've already drawn in. Remember, draw first, erase second. So I'm going to erase now the original line, because now we know where the hairline is going to end up. And now that I've done that, you can see my wiggle line. So now I'm going to start with these curved parenthesis shapes, starting from the back, coming toward the front, and as well, other side. Make sure you angle it. Okay, so that's the beginning, and a little bit longer. These are curving off slightly towards the right. Now from the back, extend them a little longer. And continue that, extending them a little longer, back to front, and then front to back, extend it a little longer. So you notice we started off at first it was shorter and then it got longer. So now her hair is nice and pulled back. So let's darken right here on the back edge. And then we'll darken again on the front. And darken here on the back. Okay. So now that we have that, these features, let's go on ahead and darken for the eye makeup. Going ahead and play around with whatever lashes you like. Darken here. And when I darken, I'm just pushing a little harder. And then on the side by the ear, parenthesis shapes so that we have a tiny little bit, bring that comma out more, a darker for that comma and then a dot. Darker for that comma over there and then a dot. So that we end up having the shape of the lashes, but let it feel thicker as opposed to so many individual shapes. Okay. So now we have our person. Let's go on ahead and pick a color. So I'm going to pick two colors. This is dark umber and it's a Prisma. This one is a Cura color and it is a deep purple. That's the name of it, deep pink. But it looks very purple. So I'm going to take my deep pink because I want the hair to end up looking brown. So this is my companion color that I'm using to blend with. Okay, and I'm starting at the hairline, then I'm going to go toward the back and forward. So those are the shorter. Same thing here. And again, you can make them connect like an M or a W, or you can start off with individual. That's the first time around. Now I'm going to add the darker tone. And this darker tone, short, it's an umber color and it's thick. I'm using the thick side of the brush. So again, starting at the back, toward the front. Same parenthesis curve shapes. Nothing different there. I'm going to close that up and I'm going to do again with my companion color, extending it longer. Longer. And then back to front, extend it a little bit longer. Okay, so then now I'm going to do a tiny little bit more, but I'm going to switch it over to one of my brownish, blackish twist crayons. So I'm just going to be right at the root just to give it some depth. So just with that same shape, right at the root, very short. And then back to front, just at the edge, that outer edge, and do the same here. Remember, you're always moving in the same direction as how you drew the original shapes. So these are those parenthesis shape. And then now here we are back to front. So that little depth of that darker tone helps a lot. So now that I have that dark, that was my twisty Crayola dark black color. I'm going to put colored pencil to finish it off. So this one is called Terracotta, and this is a Prang. It's number 21. And I'm going to go on ahead and do it again. So I'm just filling it in, but not all the way. It's just an idea of your preference, how much you want to fill it in. So at the front, shorter, right by the actual face. It's much shorter. And by the back, coming to the front. And then here, back to front, nice and short. And then front to back. Okay, so that's my nice and short. Now I'm going to do longer. And then front to back longer. And again, you're just doing that until you get the desired preference that you want. So that is it for my hair. I think I made a mark there. So I'm going to turn that into a mole. So here we go. My black fine point marker. And I may as well just use this. Going ahead, give her a little lash. And a comma. Yeah, just for the top of the eye. So I have some contrast. Now I'm going to take a brown that's lighter for the color pencil. And I'm going to just fill in a little bit. So notice how I just softened. I just went right on top of the pencil lead, drawing in the same direction as always. Same initial direction. Okay, so that's there. And now let's go on ahead. Now that her hair is pulled back, let's talk a little bit about some skin tones. So I'm going to use this Copic number 23. That's my hard tip. I like to use the brush tip. I'm going to little bit of color here on the right at the hairline, underneath the brow, above the eye, just a touch, underneath the eye, just to set that in. And then I'm going to come down the ear, down the side of her chin, and then underneath. Of course, you can do this on your second paper without the lines, but I want to save some time here. So I'm just going to color it in right on top of all the lines. Okay, here we have a little bit under the nostril, above the nose, under that lip, above the top lip, under the bottom lip. And let's do here, under the eye, set that in. And then a little tiny bit here on the light side, just very lightly touching to indicate the skin tone. A little bit on the ear, on the light side, and a little bit on the cheek, coming down. All right, so now, second time around, it's gonna feel darker and heavier. And I'm just adding, remember you're coloring in with your marker the same way that you initially created the color. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to take a little bit of colored pencil and I'm going to blend. So little tiny circles right on top of where I was and blend. So I'm just going right on top of the marker, just a littlest bit. And I'm just going in circles to soften the feeling of the marker, but we still get the idea of an illustrated skin tone. Down the chin, nice and slow and soft. Little small circles. Here we are underneath her neck area. Okay, I'm going to soften here above the lips, soften below it. Softening the nose. All right. Little small circles on the light side just to blend a little bit. And soften on your ear, cheek area, under the eye. And here as well, at the center. I'm going to bring this down as well. I think that gives a nice, beautiful feeling. Tiny small circles. And now I've connected, but I still have more color here on the right. Now I'm pulling harder, so much more. I'm pulling out the colors more aggressively because this is my shadow side, and I'm just adding. This is like my second, third time around. So I'm putting in more effort, pulling out more shadows. Okay, take my hand there and touch it and blend it. Take my hand here, touch and blend. Pull out some more shadows here. Push harder. And now I'm going to go lighter because now I'm at the end of where I want to color. So my goal is not to color in the whole entire face flat, but that's a different technique and certainly that does work. But for this purpose, I'd like to capture some interest by leaving a lot of light, but you still get the idea that this is a woman of color and you still can tell her skin tone. Okay, so this is the vellum, and you can see with your vellum on top of your marker how you're able to get a nice blend. Okay, so I'm going to touch a little bit here and there. So on my ears, great. Now let's go on ahead, put that colored pencil down. This colored pencil is super, super old, and it is Navane for the name of the color, or tan. So I'm going to put that back. I'm going to add a little bit of shine to it. So to make some shine, I'm going to give some orange. So this one is yellow orange, and it's a Crayola. And this is gonna give a little glow on these edges. So she has some sun in her life, and she feels vibrant and lively. Let's go on ahead and add a little bit on the light side. And then I'm going to come down here under the chin on the left side as well. Okay, let's give her some makeup. So how about a nice light pink? Let's give her a light pink. That sounds like a notification. Did you hear that ding? So I'm going to give her, that seems a little dark. I'm going to give her a light pink. This one? Maybe this one. Okay. So here we have a little bit of pink. That's not super light, but that's all right. I'll run with it. And then this side, I'm pressing small circles, but lighter. Okay. So there we are. Now I'm just going to take my hand, push it, and blend it just a little bit. And then now we want to go to our Colorless Blender. Now remember, you got to wipe off your Colorless Blender somewhere else because it could have leftovers. So here on the side of my page, I'm going to wipe it. Nice. So now I'm going to go on ahead and blend it. So I'm just touching where I was and lift up some of that marker and pull it all the way through as far over as I'd like. Small circles, lift up. And I'm not going over the mole though, because of course I want to keep the mole, but it would smear. But in the case of your marker, it just lifts it up and blends and moves the color wherever you decide that you would like to have it. So you do need to have that Colorless Blender. Might want to buy 2 or 3 because they actually get worn down quite easily because you use them so much. Okay, so that's my blender. Now I think I have enough blending for my own personal preference, but you can go on ahead and continue blending if you decided you wanted more to smooth it out even more, and it gives even more of a feeling of an airbrush. So I'm going to put mine away, but that was the Colorless Blender. Again, I was using Copic, and that was my Colorless Blender. Let's go on ahead and talk lip color. I might try a pink. I'll keep it a little soft. So this particular pink is R20. Okay, so that's my brush tip side. Little tiny small circles. Not filling in the whole entire, so I skipped some spaces. Not filling in the whole entire lip. So that was one. This one on top of it, I'm going to layer, is R30. Okay, and I'm on the dark side, just on the edges, just to kind of add a little more depth. I'm not filling in, again, the whole thing. Now I want to darken even more for the lip color. So I'm going to go on ahead and pull out my colored pencil that is much more bold and little small circles putting right on top of that. So the marker goes first, colored pencil goes on top of it. So these are my Crayola twisties. And I'm doing small circles so that I can feel the light, soft kind of blending effect. All right, I'm going to put that one away. Now I'm just going to grab another color. This one I'm mixing with it is E13, and it's a light tan. Brush tip. And I'm on the outer edges, so I'm mixing the tan with the pink just to blend it in. Okay, so underneath that lip, so now we have the division there, and underneath the bottom lip as well, just to solidify the edges a little bit. So notice tiny small circles, and I'm just blending everything so that you can see the skin, the edges of the lip. I'm even going to blend down a little bit of the nostril. And then once I'm done doing that, my next step is going to be the real highlights. So I'm going to move to a fine point. This is Prismacolor Pink PM8. And here, these are my highlights. barely touch because highlights can easily take over. But I want to really make sure that you can see these edges. So I just have tiny, teeny little pressure. And then even on the lightest side, I'm just touching it, but I do have the lightest pressure possible. Okay, little small circles, and I'm blending. So I think on the bottom of her lip, I'd like to blend a tiny little bit more. So I'm going to take this color pencil. This is a neon, and it's a pink. And I'm just going to blend a little more down here. Carry it over about halfway into that light side. Notice there's white space right there. There's white space here. I'm going to blend a little, but I'm not going to get rid of the entire white space. So now I'm pushing harder on that division because this is that neon bright super highlight color. And I just want to touch up some of those highlights. Lightly fill in my light side so I see the shape and the edges. All right, and then now my next thing is going to just be almost done. Let's put this back first of all. I think that was there. My next thing then is going to end up being some black for the eye. So I'm going to take my black twisty. There's another, what do you call those things? Notification. They're so annoying, aren't they? Anyway, I'm going to take my black twisty. I'm going to go right on top of that fine point. And so she feels kind of smoky eye. A little bit above it and a little bit below it. And little tiny small circles so that I can bring all those details out. And then I'm just going to hint the color of her eye. So just a little bit of eye color here. This is a PC1021. And it looks sort of gray. So little small circles. And she has a gray eye. Notice it's just dots here, dots there, not filling in entirely. Starting on the dark side, little small circles, and then kind of dot it loosely so that you don't fill in the entire thing. All right, we have our girl. Of course, you can go on and on and on with this, but I like what I see. If you want more contrast, by all means, please feel free to add more contrast. You could add more, for example, here. With the fine point, this can be endless though. So the idea is don't get carried away because when you're at work, you're not going to have the option just to sit. But if you're just kind of playing around, the possibilities are endless. So if I want even more contrast, I would do something with the fine point on top of everything else to solidify it a little bit more, maybe a little speck or two in her eye. I like her mole. I'd probably give her this dot here just totally full with marker, nothing else. And there's some white spaces in there. Dark side is on my right side. Same thing here, little tiny circles. So she has a little bitty earring. And I didn't even use anything else with it. No colored pencil or anything. Let's just close that side up. I'm going to make it a little bigger so that it feels kind of classic, almost like a pearl, like a black pearl. All right, there's my girl. She has her details. Hopefully this helps you. We'll keep doing more. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.